The 20th of March 2025, the Irish Catholic Church is quoted in the Irish paper, the Daily Star, and the bishops are full square behind mass migration, communism, globalism, and a complete abandonment of our traditional values. They crave abortion. Their philosophy in Scotland is people have been convicted for praying in their own house. If they happen to open an abortion clinic near your house and you're praying inside the house, you can be jailed in court. That's the law that's in England, and that's what the Catholic Church craves. Now, I hasten to add, there are good priests and bishops in the Catholic Church. One of them was Father Sean Mulligan, who was on my side on this debate and gave good speeches there on the television, on his podcast, and his mass in Carrickcross. And I said, that man won't last. They shifted him down to Tyrone into a backwater place down around Finnegan. They shifted him. And there was a good priest in Clontibret 30 years ago. And he was shifted too because he was given a good, decent sermon. It's all this old woke stuff they're into. So they made a statement. Now we'll see what the statement is. Now, they talk about the message of Jesus. Where did Jesus say that a country couldn't have boundaries? Where did Jesus say that a country had to accommodate the whole world? He never condemned a just war. How can you have a war if you don't have boundaries? Why is all these lefties praying for Ukraine, where they have banned the go to mass in Ukraine? Zelensky has banned it. There's freedom of religion in Russia. There's no freedom of religion in Ukraine. It goes on to say that this is a statement, and apparently it's Cardinal Robert McElroy is quoted, but apparently this statement is kind of from the group of them. His views are in stark contrast to those recently appointed Cardinal Archbishop of Washington, Robert McElroy, when he said, "Our truth is the person of Jesus Christ." Yeah. So abortion is Father McElroy's interpretation of Jesus Christ. Abortion. And up to the 9th month, if the Democrats got their way, they tear the baby out, and if it's alive, they smash its head with a hammer on a block. That's what Father McElroy wants. I want to speak to him. I want to meet him and speak to him. They'll not get away with it with me if I can. The task of a Christian is to notice that Jesus' first instinct was not to judge or condemn, but to embrace people. He judged them in the money changers in the temple. He did preach the other way of living as well. Judge that, not that you will be judged, but he insisted that people live holy lives. To help him with whatever issues they're dealing with, and to address different elements, wonders and exclusion they have in their lives. How many priests will give their money to the poor? How many Catholics in Ireland will give their money away to the poor? They give them nothing. The white fathers used to be running around the country when an old one would sell a farm and that to get her to live in their will. And people leaving money to the church in their will should not do it. There's a not good priest, definitely. There are good priests, and they should leave the money to them and name them specifically in the will. And say it's for religious purposes, that they won't pay tax. The statement concluded, the reasons for inviting McGregor to the White House on our national holiday are to be questioned. Questioned by whom? I don't question it. It's a perfectly good thing to do. We wished it to be known that it did not represent us. Well, feck off with yourself. I don't represent you. You old creeving old dirty whores. Yous wouldn't stop the child abuse. And your old Fianna Fáil and Finnegan and Sinn Féin let the priests in the school rape all the gossans. Up straight. Come on to me about it. I have to emphasise again, any Catholic, listen to me. I'm a Catholic. And any priest or any brother that obeys the word of Christ and prays to Christ and does the best he can, you are not my enemy. It's these pigs. The statement concluded. Now, so there again says, meanwhile, the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre said it had written to the US ambassador to express its dismay that McGregor meeting Trump. He is convicted of no rape. And without sexual intercourse, none of us would be here. They have no problem with Muslims raping people and migrants raping women, and Rotherham where they raped 1,400 English girls. Oh, that's all right because they're Muzzies. Oh, they're Muzzies. Oh, that's their culture. Let them rape away. The Rape Crisis Centre. A very sinister. Speaking on RTE this morning, another fella, Mrs. Murrock, said, yesterday's meeting was a very sinister event and needs to be called out. And well, get on to me. My name's Val Martin. I want to be on the radio and meet you. You won't let me in on the bait. You won't let me in on the bait. All on your RTE getting 750 million every 2 years. Violence. On the other hand, an attempt to rebuild a very damaged reputation of Conor McGregor. Well, don't bother with Conor McGregor. Use follow knitting or some other sport. I'll watch me bit of combat sports. And don't forget these ones. They want men boxing women in women's sports. So he's a mixed martial arts man. If he proposed to be gay, under the rules of the EU and European sport, he could go in and tackle a woman and beat her. Conor McGregor could tackle a young mother in a boxing ring and beat her to pulp, according to these priests and these woke left-wing crowd. And that's happened in France in the Olympics this year. What is sobering and shocking is that the office of the President of the US, which is so respected and trusted and esteemed, why was it? There's no evidence that they shot Kennedy dead. Why was it so trusted? Didn't they allow a gunman up when Trump was having a rally and tried to shoot him? Where the hell are you coming with the respected? And Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, he killed more bombs and done more destruction and caused the Ukraine war. There's no respect for the United States till Donald Trump got in. Now, esteemed, is being used for both of these things. And on St. Patrick's Day, the office was used to launder Conor McGregor's reputation. Conor McGregor is not convicted of any crime. Every backslap, every word of flattery, every aspect of that meeting showed the really callous indifference to the survivors of sexual violence. That is an abject lie. The feckin' cheek of a bloody bishop, the bloody whore, to talk about the victims of sexual violence. I knew a woman who hung herself at 43 years of age, and she told me herself Father Brendan Smith put her on a couch and put the crucifix up on the mantelpiece, and he raped her from behind while she was forced to pray to the crucifix. Get to hell off my case. Get to hell off it. And only for the police service of Northern Ireland, the then RUC, the authorities in Ireland would have let him away with it. It was exposed on Spotlight, the BBC news programme. Much of what he says is unacceptable. No, it's not. And this is something that we saw coming. It's just one of the number of examples President Trump putting public energy into restoring the status of strong and powerful men who have been accused of different forms of sexual violence and assault. Well, they haven't been accused of boxing and beating the head of an unfortunate lady in sport, and that's one thing. He is sending a message that sexual violence is something he is trivialising. No, he is not. No, he is not. And he has appointed some great women in his office, the Attorney General, his White House spokesman, all great ladies. There has been a really strong reaction amongst the Irish public that this is something they agree with. This is something now you can help me. Get people to look at this video and like it. And let's see how many views we can get to give my view of these creeps. It has taken decades to create supportive climate for survivors. It has taken the Guards, of which I was a member, and pursued these rascals through the courts at often great difficulty. And when I'd be going out trying to catch them for raping girls and raping boys, my authorities wouldn't even give me overtime to do it, or me allowances sometimes. They didn't do it. It was people in the Gardaí, when they were allowed to do it, pursued these down, and the minute they found themselves in court, they soon quit it, I'll tell you. And it's still going on. And these migrants are killing people all over the world. Yesterday's events will confirm suspicion and fears that survivors have around not been believed. A Catholic bishop has the nerve to talk about survivors of sexual abuse. Thousands of them in Ireland, raped and pillaged by Christian brothers and priests. But I want to emphasize again, I know that there are a good lot of priests who do not endorse this and suffer greatly from this. Father Sean Mulligan is one of them. I shouldn't be naming him for his own good, but I will. There are a lot of good, decent priests, and this is the sad part. But they won't get promoted. The only ones that will get to be bishops and up there are these other crowd. And our Pope, who's not well at the moment, is another woke villain. And they'll appoint another Pope, and he'll be worse. In the couple of years ago, the referendum to take the mothers out of the home and replace it by anyone, it could be a man or a woman, and also to change the status of marriage, which was beaten 70%. I heard very little from the priests. What is the teaching of the church? I heard very little from the priests. They didn't talk. Why aren't they talking about abortion? The killing of babies in the womb in a country where we need babies. What is their policy to help girls that get pregnant and try and have the baby? This is the reality. It's the woke, cultural Marxist agenda that's been pushed on the people and them have control in the media. This morning on Shannonside Northern Sound, Joe Finnegan was raving on. And Father Brian Darcy came on, as woke as you would get. Father Brian Darcy, he was whinging that McGregor doesn't represent the Irish people. Let's have a referendum and see what the Irish people think about the woke ideology. Meanwhile, in the same paper, they're talking about Micheál Martin sniggering at the housing crisis. That's not what happened at all. That's another lie. And Mary Lou is whinging about it. What happened was Donald Trump said to Micheál Martin, your country is so prosperous that you have a housing crisis. He didn't make little of people without houses. Our country is flying. The concrete companies are only rationing concrete. The meat plants can't get beef to export to Britain. The steel workers cannot keep it out. It's hard to get welding equipment. It's hard to get people to do work. We can't cook the food quick enough for the people. We have an inflation problem. We also have a very, very well-going economy. The people are unbelievably hard workers, including the decent people from Poland and elsewhere that came here too, all working great. A lot of them working really well. So the point about it is that's why there's a need for houses. But there's the second need for houses, which is the migrants, where all the housing effort to house people is going to the migrants. It's not going to workers. And that's the point. Micheál Martin sniggered a bit at the fact that I have a great economy. He has a relatively good economy. He didn't snigger at the people left out. Now, it's not like me to back up Micheál Martin, but he did not laugh at the homeless people. Trump sort of was led to believe that the housing crisis is due to our flourishing economy, whereas in fact it's due to that and the inability of the government to build houses and the migrant problem. So Trump was sort of having a bit of fun of him in that, coming up to Patrick's Day. There was nothing sinister, or there was no laughing by Trump or Micheál Martin on the homeless people. That was not what he'd done. That is a lie told by them. Oh. Father Brian Darcy also said that Trump was a bully, that he was a bully. And he supports, obviously, the Ukraine war. There's 1 million people dead. Boris Johnson, Victoria Nuland, and the American secretaries of state under Biden prevented Zelensky settling with Putin. Is it not a bigger bully to stop a war? Or didn't there was something about a millstone being tied round their neck and thrown into the sea? And Zelensky is taking poor handicapped children, boys of 17 years of age, and putting them into the meat grinder. No word of that. These people need to be spoken down, and when I get the few jobs done, we'll have to see where they're coming to and go in and attack them, not beat them up, harry them. I went up to Eamon Ray, and he was in the Chester Beatty Library talking through his arse. And when he went to come out the front door, I stopped him. I said, come here. And I went to talk to him. And he ran round the other door. And I ran round. I had the place surveyed. And I stopped him going out the other door. And he eventually got that he couldn't get out either doors. And he didn't call the guards, funny enough. I didn't care whether he did or not. We need to face these rascals down. Mary Pooh MacDonald, silly old biddy with her old hijab. Go over there and see how your homosexuality will work in Saudi Arabia. They're killing them every day. Go over there. And this is all about importing an ideology to destroy our Western Christian way of life. And we have our own priests at it. Every country should have borders. Trump is rounding them up and horsing them out of there. A lot of them killers. He started with all the killers and the rapists and all. And it's driving these ones mad. Driving them mad. Before I go, Father Brian Darcy said on Shannonside Northern Sound this morning that he was so proud of the Pope. A radical left-wing Pope he is. And I remember that Pope was down in Argentina or wherever he come from. And Pope John Paul II, who was a good Pope, shouting at him, you stop this communist stuff. He saw the effect of communism in Poland and Europe, and it was being imported into South America, and he was against it. Now, he said how proud he was that the Pope sent round a letter to cardinals and bishops to condemn from the altar Trump's deportation of migrants. In other words, people who come rushing in to break the law and have no respect for the legal immigration process were favoured by the Pope over those who stayed out. And the way it is, those who want to get to America, the only way is go busted in. The fair way is you apply in the normal course. They don't want that. Father Brian Darcy doesn't want that. I want to meet Father Darcy. I want to meet Robert McElroy, Cardinal. I want to meet all of these. Ruth Coppinger. The whole lot. But meanwhile, until that day happens, we'll shove Trump up yous. Up yous it'll go. We have Trump. And we're not letting him go. And he'll be there. You try to kill him. They tried to kill him twice. And you didn't succeed. And now we have the word coming out about Kennedy. That was all a political killing too. And they damn near done it with Trump. But it didn't just happen on this occasion. Go to hell. The whole bloody lot of yous. Feck off and go to hell. All these left-wing bishops and Catholics and all the rest, they don't care who dies. 2 gay men beheaded in Sligo. Good enough for them is the view of the lefties. A teacher and 3 kids almost killed in Parnell Square in Dublin, and they're still raving on here. That's how Helen McEntee and them on about why the guards didn't bat and charge them. Look at this. Look at this. Gardaí vid fear of using force. She's complaining that they didn't take out their batons and flake them, the Irish people, who got an awful shock. We're not even supposed to feel outraged anymore. Comment underneath. We got to change the Irish people and our neighbours. We got to counter these creeps at every stage. The Late Late Show is on Friday night. Ring in, write in and do what we like. We need to neutralise them so that the other side is given. The other side is given. Folks, comment underneath. Bye-bye. Thank you.